PM clearing of the daily accumulation of energy. Identified on Chart 10A, miscellaneous blocks, the SRT dictionary defines the daily accumulation of energy as those difficult daily situations and experiences that cause a person to accumulate a mixture of positive and negative energy. These are called world energies. When I retire for the night, writes Robert Detzler, I always thank my spiritual committees for working with me and ask them to clear all accumulated energies. Hello and welcome. This is the PM clearing for the daily accumulation of discordant energies. Now, this is a program that appears on SRT chart 10A, miscellaneous blocks. And this clearing does serve as a companion clearing to the AM clearing of the world energies, which also appears on this channel. They can be used interchangeably. Just because this is the PM clearing, that doesn't mean that you have to do it at night necessarily. Just stay with what works best for you. And as I noted in the other clearing, you can return to this clearing multiple times and still receive benefits. If you come back to the clearing and it starts to agitate you, chances are you've absorbed the full extent of the clearing and it's time to move on and try another clearing, or to book a personal healing call with myself or another SRT practitioner. Okay, so let's get into the work. I have already prepped this group body to work. And by group body, I'm defining that as all listeners now and in the future, the lineages you're connected to. So that includes biological, but also non-biological lineages. They may be spiritual lineages, cultural, symbolic, or non-religious lineages. I've also defined this to include your immediate soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, and as broadly as God team, Lords of Karma, Infinite Council wishes to orchestrate on our behalf. Okay, so the PM clearing of the daily accumulation of discordant energies, I realize that's a mouthful. What is that running at presently? Okay, so it looks like it's 75% positive, and what is the negative on it? Okay, it's about 35. Okay, and like the other clearing, what this already tells me is that those who are drawn to this particular clearing have already done some healing work on themselves, for the reason that this isn't especially discordant. I mean, it could be 100% negative and 0% positive, right? So we're already working with a higher number. So that is encouraging. The level of consciousness that it is sitting at on chart 3 is, where is it? Okay, it's a little higher than we started the AM1 at. It's at the level of many mansions, paths, and levels. So that is a little bit more than a third of the way up chart 3. And it's interesting, we seem to be starting at a higher level, maybe because those who've come here have already done the AM clearing, is something else that is coming through. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to raise the level of consciousness for the soul and its high self teams committees all the way up to the top of the next page of chart 3, which in this system is known as Radiant Love New Paradigm. And we want to rebalance the positive negative from 75% positive, I think I said 40% negative, to 100% positive and 0% negative. So I'm dowsing on that. The energy is moving. You may hear my pendulum clicking. And for specificity, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some clearing statements. So clear through all levels, layers, depths of chart 3, all elevations, vibrations, all 7 or more realities. Clear from inception to present time and into the future. Clear all duplicates, copies, backups, rebuilding, replication programs. Clear mirror images and meld the mirrors. Clear all other programs that may trigger these. Clear anything hidden, buried, covered up, lied about, denied, cursed, or avoided. Clear body memory, memory impingements, emotional impingements even. Anything else the soul may be hiding in connection to the daily accumulation of discordant energies. And please clear this in 0 time. Again, for this group body, all listeners, now and in the future, the lineages they're connected to. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, all of our high self teams, committees, and I'm going to go a step further here. Any combination, any permutation within this group body where there's something to be worked with, resolved, released. Good. And the pendulum is still swinging away. Okay, now we're going to stop. Good. All right, so where should we start this clearing? If you want to follow along on chart 1, where do we start, please? Lords of Karma, God Team, Forces of Light. We're starting on chart 20, Refining Consciousness. Okay. It's interesting, I paused there because I wanted to say redefining consciousness. That's interesting. That's not really what the chart is called, though. Okay. Comes up on this chart in connection to the daily accumulation of discordant energies, please. Imbalance of the etheric body at the level of 1. Okay, what else? Inharmony at the level of 1. Anything else on this chart? No. So we're going to clear both of those programs. And by clear, my deal with my high self and the other committees I'm working with is that when I say clear, it will go through all, they will, I should say, go through all the clearing statements that I laid in before. It's just a shorthand. It would be kind of tedious to repeat all of that aloud. And so for the purpose of the clearing, I am going to define those 2 programs from Detzler's original channel, his book, Soul Recreation. And the reason I read it is, I mean, of course, we're clearing the subconscious now, but sometimes when we hear the programs defined, it gives us an opportunity for a conscious component. Imbalance of the etheric body at the level of 1. The etheric body, which was created for each individual at the 1 level, was whole, perfect, and in complete harmony and balance. During the process of becoming, incarnating, and learning, the etheric body got out of balance, and it is necessary to restore that balance at the 1 level. Okay. And then the other program, Inharmony. Okay, so there's also an inherent inharmony at this level, but we're also needing to clear it at this level, apparently. Inharmony was set up during the blueprinting of all that would become the created heavens and earth. Okay. So if you're new for SRT, that program may never have been cleared before, so that's interesting. Because what we're getting from that is that was pre-programmed at the time of inception. But the other thing that's coming through psychically for me too is when we interact with world energies, or we go out into the world and we accumulate discordant energies. They're not necessarily discordant. I mean, some of them may also be positive expressions, but it can contribute to imbalances in the etheric body as well. Okay, and that's all in that chart. Where to next, please? Oh, we in fact are now going to chart 10A, interesting miscellaneous blocks. Okay. So what comes up to be cleared there? I should clear all universal programs. Okay, yes. So again, what I am getting is there are some newbies that maybe have done other forms of energy work, but haven't done SRT before. So I'm guided to clear all the universal programs on this chart. So I'm just going to define those. So those are known as soul programs, heart vows, curses, scarring, subconscious clutter, multiple souls, race beliefs, and in fact, world energies, both positive and negative. So we're going to clear all that. And your high self teams committees will know what that is for you as it applies to you. It may be different for everyone receiving this clearing. And I'm not going to go into the individual definitions for each of those programs, just because that would be tedious, but I will define what actually comes up in addition to that to be cleared on this chart. Okay, we're wanting to clear inhibitors. Interesting. What else? Okay, and balance the positive negative energy. So, I mean, that's interesting because in the process of doing an SRT clearing, we do rebalance the positive negative energy. But so again, it's like we got in harmony at the level of 1. There's some imbalances here that we're operating with. Possibly, again, from going out into the world and accumulating energies that are needing to be cleared. So we want to neutralize the negative, of course. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. We're asking to clear all universal programs. In addition, we also ask to clear all inhibitors and to rebalance the positive and negative energy. For all listeners now and in the future, the lineages they're connected to. So clear the cellular level DNA, clan and the ancestors. Clear for their soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, all of their high self teams committees. And I will define the 2 additional programs that we were guided to clear, starting with inhibitors. An inhibitor is anything that tends to limit or inhibit our full spiritual potential or expression of life. Inhibitors were set up to discourage the soul from incarnating. Inhibitors were applied to the emotions by God in an attempt to limit their destructive potential. Unfettered emotions of the inhabitants of Maldek destroyed the planet, which is now the asteroid belt. The emotions are creative and can be used to heal. As we learn to properly use the emotions, we want the inhibitors removed so that we have full access to our healing and creative potential. Very interesting. Then I feel like I've already defined the balance of positive negative energies. I'm going to just look it up though, just again for your own edification here. It may take me a moment. I read the inhibitor definition from the SRT dictionary, but now I'm going into soul recreation to get the definition of the balance of the positive negative. So that just takes me a moment to find, and energy is still moving. My pendulum's still clicking. And all he says here is everything has a positive and negative pole. A person, a plant, a leaf on a plant, a house, and so on. The poles can be out of balance. Just ask for high self to clear and balance them. Okay. So we can also think of this in terms of heaven and earth, right? Masculine, feminine, inside, outside. Light and dark, duality in general. Okay. Is there anything else on this chart? No? Okay. Where to next, please? Again, clearing the daily accumulation of discordant energies. Okay, are we going back to vitamins and minerals? That's interesting. That came up the last time. No, we're going to the other chart, but it still has to do with, it's still a mind-body chart. They want us to go to 9B rather than 9A this time. Okay, so there might be some lifestyle adjustments here that they're wanting this group body to become aware of. So what is contributing to the daily accumulation of discordant energies here? Okay, we're getting positive. So there's a block to positive emotions. Interesting. What else? Okay, rest. Okay, so that can go, I mean, most of us, when we go out, we get stressed, right? So we may not have enough rest. We may be overworking, for example. And, even as Joe Dispenza says, if we are too stressed out, we don't have enough energy left over to create anything new. So that could also block positive emotions. But there's also something here, stress and negativity go hand in hand. This may also come, I'm tuning into that. That may also be a sleep disturbance issue for some people too. Anything else on this chart? No. So we want to clear blocks to rest, and we also want to clear blocks to positive emotions. Okay. Clear through all listeners now and in the future. Their cellular level DNA, clan and the ancestors. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level, all of their high self teams, committees. And so, with rest, there's different lifestyle changes that might need to be made in order to receive more rest. We spoke about using breath work in the AM clearing. That can be helpful. Pranayama can be helpful. We also spoke about using magnesium, like a magnesium bath. That can be also really relaxing. That can help with the rest. I'm seeing if there's any other information that wants to come through psychically for me. As I'm clearing here. Okay, I'm going to go a step further and I'm going to ask, vis-a-vis the positive emotions, the block, what specific positive emotions are blocked? I'm going to go to chart 6B and ask. I'm going to research that some more. Okay. So what blocks to positive expression are they running from chart B, please? Vis-a-vis the daily accumulation of discordant energies. Okay. Where do we start? Inside. A block to gentleness. Okay. So you may find to be kinder to yourself, for example. Inside. Blocks to freedom. Okay, so if we're feeling stressed out, we may also feel trapped, like trapped in our job or trapped by our circumstances. So parts of the soul may still be stuck in victim consciousness, for example. Okay. So we want to clear blocks to those two. Anything else outside? Blocks to involvement. Okay, so we could be either under or over involved. If we're having trouble sleeping, that might indicate that there's over involvement. That can lead to like emotional enmeshment, for example. Maybe during the weekend it goes the other way. We're under involved just because we might need to get caught up on rest over the weekend, right? So we want to get the right balance with the involvement. We don't want to be under or over involved. We just want to be involved, right? Inside, any other blocks here? No, blocks to optimism too? Okay, yeah. So there can just be generalized negativity that is inhibiting our optimism, right? Because we got inhibitors. Okay, so let's clear all that. Please, the blocks to all those positive expressions. For all listeners, now and in the future, the lineages they're connected to, clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level. All of our high self teams, committees, please. Okay, I'm feeling the vibration rise, I should say, as we clear these blocks to these positive expressions. That's good. Quite a bit of energy moving here. My pendulum is swinging rapidly. Wow, there's a lot clearing here. Interesting. Okay. We stopping? Okay, we're stopping. All right, where to next, please? Okay, we going to 14. Pre-fall of consciousness, creating the illusion. Okay. Comes up here in connection to the daily accumulation of discordant energies. And I just keep repeating that because it helps me connect to the topic of the clearing myself as the practitioner. Okay, so we want to clear light energy discord. What else? Energy forms attached at higher levels. Interesting. Okay, so that might be feeding off of some of the energies that we're accumulating is what I'm getting from that. That could be an entity problem, but not necessarily. I mean, when we do prep to work, we do clear infinite varieties of blocks and interferences just at the surface level, but that could indicate there's an entity problem here. I will define both of those programs for you momentarily, however. Clear for all listeners now and in the future, please, this group body. Clear the cellular level DNA, clan, and the ancestors. Clear for the soul group, extended soul group, monadic level. All of our high self teams, committees. Okay, light energy discord. Let's define that. This has to do with the discord set up at the light or Godhead level, in order to bring forth the light beings who eventually incarnate in human form. Each light being is intended to reflect the image and likeness of its creator. However, there had to be discord at the light energy level in order that the individual expression of spirit are different and unique. For if there were no discord, there would only be perfect spirit. There would be no formed universe containing individual worlds. And then he also notes that in the Bible, these are called morning stars, and they existed before the worlds were formed. Okay, so that to me is also synonymous with Carl Jung conceptualized of an individuation process. So it's like we can think of the 5D and above, the non-physical is unified, and when we're in a form, we're more individuated. And as we continue our incarnational journey, it's a journey out, we become more and more and more individuated. Until we reach a point where, often after a spiritual awakening, where the incarnational journey transforms into an ascension journey, then we turn around, we go home, and we want to start to dissolve that programming that kept us separate, right? Okay, the other program, right, energy forms. I will define that as well. These are actually beliefs having to do with the symbolism of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which brought about our descent into darkness of the physical realms A belief is simply mind energy and has no true reality. Therefore, all beliefs of human consciousness are illusions. All false or illusory beliefs will eventually give way to the ultimate knowing that there is only spirit. And really, that last statement there is synonymous with what just came through my channel earlier about how incarnation ultimately leads to ascension. But, where there is illusion, there are also entities. Especially if one has an overactive thinking mind and a lot of repressed emotional content, an advanced soul with a heavy karmic load. In cases of extreme trauma, the entities can get bound into the soul and need to be removed from individual soul records. A good resource for entity removal, aside from SRT, is Michael Goldsman of clairaudient.com. He's got a lot of great entity clearings on his website. Highly recommend. And I'm going to go a step further here and just ask, as appropriate, to download and apply Chart 5, Infinite Blocks and Interferences, to the energy form if there is, in fact, an ongoing entity issue. And that can also be a grid issue, since we're talking about the accumulation of discordant energies. So if your workplace is toxic, that might be an issue with around just how your energy fields are interacting with your coworkers, but it can also be on the grid points of the office. So doing space clearing work is also good to do. You can use SRT to do that. In fact, what I might do is I might also just post a space clearing at some point on this channel to help with that. Sometimes that can happen if there's trauma, like historical trauma on the land too. Like, for example, if there was a battle and there are unmarked graves on the land, that can create imbalances on the actual grid points. It doesn't necessarily mean something is haunted, although it could. Okay. All right, is there anything else that wants to be cleared here today? And I'm getting a no, so we're just gonna go right into mop-up. Okay, so I'm gonna douse on my mop-up checklist. And if you were to do a personal clearing with me, I would go through it all. But I will lay in just a few clearing statements I like to use. So working with the God team, forces of light, lords of karma, and there are 200 plus charts on the other side of life. Asking to clear anything we haven't known to clear here today. Asking to clear 100% of 100% of 100% of all remaining programs on 100% of 100% of all remaining charts. Asking to clear anything not on charts in connection to the daily accumulation of discordant energies, please. Sealing this particular clearing in, ensuring it is made permanent. Clear Alpha to Omega. Ensuring our records are clean, cleared, organized, brought up to date to reflect the full benefits of this particular clearing today. I'm just also guided here to reapply, reactivate the AM clearing of the world energies as well, especially if this particular group body has already worked with the AM clearing, because there is some crossover between the two. Making any necessary tweaks, adjustments, changes to our pre-birth plan. Activate our divine blueprint, bringing on board more of our soul's original gifts to help serve us on this next leg of the ascension journey, or it may still be an incarnational journey for some, however you identify. Clearing away any accidents, injuries, dementia we may have pre-planned. That's just something we asked to do in mop-up during Most SRT clearings, we're trained to do that. If there's any brain cell restructuring that wants to occur in connection to this clearing, brain restructuring, organs, glands, cells, tissues that wish to be treated. I did go to a mind-body chart. Angels of light to help assist, but also White Brotherhood medical team, Archangel Raphael, Mother Mary, other healing angels I work with for mind body. We ask to attune and calibrate to the level of vibrant health and well-being. That may be somewhere between 350 willingness and 600 peace on the Hawkins scale of consciousness, for example. Good. Rebalancing the totality of the multidimensional energy system. Our physical organs, glands, cells, tissues feel more energized, feel more filled with light, feel more healed. Let's also ask to clear any recreation programming. Durga Amora to help with grounding and integration. Please clear the sacrum, the root, the legs, ankles, the feet, the space between the feet, the space beneath the feet. Clear and activate the chakras at the soles of the feet now. And ground down onto Earth Star Chakra with Archangel Sandalphon, Shemwal, and Mother Gaia. It may also be onto grounding cord, where we find ground. Good. And I'm also just going to end with one healing tone for the root chakra. There's not as much of a grounding issue this time that I am sensing. However, that's a good way, a good note, I should say, to end a clearing upon. So just a vowel tone for the root, which is U-H. So deep in breath, and then on the out breath, we will tone Good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.